Opulent Podcast is not suitable for children of any age. Opulent Podcast is intended for mature audiences and entertainment purposes only. Hello, my name is Alberto Lara, and this is Opulent Podcasts. What is life? Where does it come from? Where does it go? What is its purpose, and what is the secret to life? Life is the essence that automates chiral left-handed molecules by constraining them to specific structure, order, and balance, to be self-sustaining, formed out of water and through water. Water is the conduit of life. Without water, there is no life. Mark Booth explains in his book titled The Secret History of the World as Laid Down by the Secret Societies that scientists are fascinated by the extraordinary degree of fine-tuning necessary for life to evolve. Balances between hot and cold, wetness and dryness, the earth being not too close and not too far from the sun, the forces of gravity and electromagnetism, and the charges between subatomic particles. These extraordinary series of balances between various sets of factors in nature are necessary to make life possible. An equally extraordinary series of balances is necessary to make our subjective consciousness what it is. For example, a particular degree of memory is necessary, neither too strong nor too weak. Otherwise, one would not be able to learn or keep themselves from moving forward into the future. We have to perceive the outside world through the senses, but it is equally important not to be overwhelmed by sensations, which could otherwise occupy all of our mental faculties. Does the chemical gradient inside and outside a neuron matter for it to fire an impulse, which regulates every function of our body, both voluntary and especially the involuntary functions, within fractions of a second? Additionally, events and biological processes must occur throughout cycles of time, otherwise life itself will not exist. Who sets the duration of each of these cycles and governs the right balances to occur, not just in our body, but all around us? Certainly not humankind, for we cannot control the intricate inner workings of our body, much less the tidal locking of the moon to the earth, or the earth's rotation upon its axis, nor its revolution around the sun. Does your heart rate matter how often blood pumps through your veins? Do you not have to breathe within a minute or two lest you fall dead? Does it matter to a biological organism whether a day is 24 hours, longer or shorter? How do trees know to go dormant every fall and blossom every spring? Do women not have a period every month? Even music affects us viscerally with full notes and half notes. Moreover, light can be dangerous to us if it is too high in frequency, which vibrates within discrete time intervals. Why does frequency matter? Life cycles are rhythmic, a timed synchrony, a metronome set with structure, order, and balance. Science continues to recognize the clockwork of the cosmos, but refuses to acknowledge its clockmaker. Entropy is the general trend of nature towards disorder, decay, and death, but life is the opposite of entropy. Life is structured and ordered. If one drops a cup, it will break or divide into pieces. Another cup will not spontaneously generate as living cells do. If you drop the piece of the broken cup repeatedly, will the cup reassemble itself? Of course not. It will divide into smaller pieces until it is all gone. However, a living cell spontaneously generates another exact cell to become 2 cells. 2 become 4. 4 become 8, and so forth. Therefore, living cells do not divide, they multiply. Yet society, especially our scientific community, teaches us that cells divide. This is how they direct us to look the wrong way, with simple words. For there to be structure and order, there has to be an intelligent energy which sets this structure and order in place. Otherwise, by nature, everything veers towards disorder and decay. DNA is comprised of the same common elements ubiquitous in the cosmos, but arranged in an intelligent order and structure. From water and through water, these elements form every living being, including you. A radio or a television is only a box containing common elements found in nature, but arranged in an intelligent order, these elements receive signals from an external source and interprets them into images and sounds that we can see and hear. How much structure and balance is there in your body that if it were not there, you would not be consciously able to think, much less live? Similarly, like a radio or television, the cerebral structure of the brain receives information, not just from external, but from an inner source, to produce images and sounds in our imagination for our consciousness to experience. If you are alive and sentient to listen to this, you are proof that there is intelligent order. What happens when the source of life vanishes from a person, an animal, or plant? Have you had a plant dry up and wither away? Have you ever held your pet while the veterinarian put it to sleep? Have you experienced a loved one pass away? 1 second they are there, and the next they are nothing. Don't feel bad. Everybody dies, and so will you. As a hand removed from inside the puppet causes it to droop lifeless, in the same way when life leaves a living thing, whether a person, animal, or plant, it becomes a corpse, to decay and be recycled back into the elements of the periodic table. How does science measure life? By listening to a beating heart? By placing a mirror to catch someone's breath? By pinching themselves to see if they are conscious? Consciousness is the subjective part of the infinite intelligence of life, the quality or state of being aware, especially of something within oneself. Where does the consciousness of life come from, and where does it go when people die? To the non-locality realm, through the zero-point field, behind the curtain of the nothing. Lynn McTaggart writes in her book, titled The Field, that every quantum physicist is well aware of the zero-point field. Quantum mechanics has demonstrated there is no such thing as empty vacuum or nothingness. They call it the zero-point field because fluctuations in vacuum are still detectable in temperatures of absolute zero, which is the lowest possible energy state. In other words, the closest that motion of a subatomic matter ever gets to zero. The uncertainty principle developed by Werner Heisenberg implies that no particle ever stays completely at rest, but is constantly in motion due to a ground state field of energy, constantly interacting with all subatomic matter. It means that the basic substructure of the cosmos is a sea of quantum fields. Aristotle was the first to argue that empty space was in fact a plenum, a backdrop structure filled with constant activity, permeating inside, around, and through everything, and no known laws of physics can eliminate it. What we believe to be our stable, static, empty space is in fact a seething maelstrom of subatomic fleeting particles popping in and out of existence. These fleeting particles generated during this brief moment are known as virtual particles. They differ from real particles because they only exist during that exchange, the time of uncertainty allowed by the uncertainty principle. The zero-point field is a repository of all fields and all ground energy states and all virtual particles, a field of fields. All elementary particles interact with each other by exchanging energy through other quantum particles, which appear out of nowhere, combining and annihilating each other in less than 10 to the minus 23 seconds, causing random fluctuations of energy without any apparent cause. The zero-point field is a node where everything is connected and where from everything begins and ends in our universe, from inanimate matter to life as we know it. Vacuum causes particles to accelerate, which in turn causes them to agglutinate or coagulate into a concentrated energy state that we call matter. Real particles are nothing more than a little knot of energy which briefly emerges and disappears back into the underlying field. Brian Greene, the most famous modern theoretical physicist, labels this plenum as a, quote, molasses, unquote, for lack of a better description, which pervades the entire cosmos. But I digress. Our own intelligence is an iota of the holistic infinite intelligence that pervades our entire cosmos, all around us, through us, and in us. Our brain's atomic structure constantly interacts with the zero-point field and channels our consciousness to and from the non-locality realm where our mind connects to when we dream, where we come from, the inner sanctuary behind the curtain of the mind, wherefrom our consciousness peeks into our space-time continuum and says, "Here I am." Therefore, the way into life is the same way out. When we hope, wish, or pray for something, we are actually talking to the infinite intelligence that made us, that is within us, that is infinitely greater than us. That is God. Quote, "The foolishness of God is wiser than human wisdom, and the weakness of God is stronger than human strength." 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 25. Unquote. If we trust and listen to it, the infinite intelligence will guide us, not only by imbuing our minds with ideas, solutions, alternative methods, and seemingly inherent inspiration. It also begins to move the gears and mechanisms of the cosmos to create windows of opportunities that only you will recognize to reach your goals. But also, it is still up to you to jump through those windows of opportunities. From our ideas, thoughts, memories, imagination, to our motive, intent, opinion, and the will to believe whatever you want to believe, are all attributes of consciousness, which are not physical. They are immaterial vibrational energy or vibes that couple onto our brain through the zero-point field. Our conscious attributes are intangible entities that are not subject to locality, not even time. Therefore unmeasurable by any physical apparatus that is constrained to the laws of physics. We can only measure its results. Life is the fourth spatial dimension that intersects the three-dimensional construct we call space through the zero-point field. Life comes in and out of this physical world by intelligently manipulating the elements of nature, like putting Legos together to animate them for a brief moment in time. As nails, screws, and rivets hold together a stage, in the same way, nature's constants, fractals, sacred geometries, and laws of physics hold space-time together. Space-time is only a stage for our consciousness to experience this labyrinth of life. The purpose to life is to learn how to think, by acquiring knowledge, applying wisdom, being fair, and being kind. One can only do that through discipline, a conscious effort to exercise self-control and moderation, the key to life. Otherwise, one will only do whatever feels good, which leads to demise. We acquire knowledge of the world to understand how nature and society works, and we attain wisdom to teach us how to use knowledge to improve our lives, to live in peace, and to help others. There is no other point to knowledge. Having knowledge is like holding a hammer. It is power. But knowing how to use that hammer is wisdom. Give the hammer to a toddler and it will wreak havoc over itself and its surroundings. But give the hammer to the carpenter and he will rebuild the entire world. Finally, the secret to life is to love. It's in the complete instructional or Holy Bible to life. 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 1. We all possess knowledge. Knowledge puffs up, which means it inflates with pride or makes one conceited. But love edifies. Love builds up. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 2 and 3. If I have the gift of prophecy, and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, then I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship, that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 14. Do everything in love. Romans chapter 13, verse 8. Do not owe anyone anything except to love one another. For the one who loves another has fulfilled the law. Romans chapter 13, verse 10. Love does no harm to others. Therefore love is a fulfillment of the law. Galatians chapter 5, verse 14. The entire law is summoned in a single command. Love your neighbor as yourself. James chapter 2, verse 8. If you keep or obey the most important law of God, to love your neighbor as yourself, then you are doing well. Ultimately, it does not matter what I believe. What matters is what you believe that dictates your life. But whatever you believe should bring you peace instead of doubt. Let they who are at peace have no questions, nor doubts, nor fears. Until you are at peace, you are not free. Happy findings in the labyrinth of life, and Godspeed.